So let's start with demand schedule. What is demand schedule? Demand schedule is a tabular statement that shows different quantities of a commodity that would be demanded at different prices during a given period of time. So first thing is that it is a tabular statement. Second thing is it shows what does this table shows. First we told that it is a tabular statement. Now, what does this table show? It shows the different quantities of a commodity that would be demanded. Third, at different prices during a given period of time. Fourth, so this whole paragraph I can learn by dividing into 4 points. So the first point says that it is a tabular statement which shows different quantities of a commodity that will be demanded at different prices during a given period of time. So now this can be of two types, individual demand schedule and market demand schedule. Now you can see here, I have made a table. This table is what? This table is only tabular statement. This is a tabular statement that represents different quantities demanded. This is different quantities which are demanded at different prices during a time period. So this is a time period. First one. So first is the tabular statement. Second is different quantities demanded at different prices at a given time period. And B here is the time period. Now we can understand what is demand schedule. So again, individual demand schedule is the tabular statement that shows various quantities of a commodity, that would be purchased. Instead of writing the word demanded, they have written it from the other viewpoint that would be purchased at different prices by an individual household. So this is like the individual demand schedule of A, okay, by an individual household or a consumer during a given period of time, and B is a time. So now you can see here, when the price is 100 per kg, 1 kg of apple is demanded in a week. This is for apples. If the price falls to 90 rupees per kg, then 2 kgs of apple is demanded by A during a week. It falls to 80, then A increases its consumptions to 4 kg per week. And when it reduces further to 70, he consumes 6 kgs of apple in a week. Now, whenever you explain a demand schedule, you don't have to just write the table and leave it. It does not make any sense. Now, this is what I call it as quantitative information. This quantitative information has to be converted into qualitative information by explaining it. The data in the table clearly shows that as the price of apple keeps falling, the individual household, or A, if you have named him as A, individual household purchases larger quantity of apples. Then only this quantitative data makes any sense. So demand schedule, whenever you are drawing a table, you have to explain the table. Otherwise, your table does not make any sense. So this individual demand schedule can be picturized. Now, this individual demand schedule, this table, when this table I converted into a graph, I converted it into a picture, when it becomes demand curve. That's why I'm not teaching individual demand schedule, market demand schedule, and then individual demand curve, because I want to show you how the schedule gets converted into curve. So this individual demand schedule can be picturized as individual demand curve. How I am converting this table, how I'm converting that table into a diagram. So when it is a table, it is a schedule. And when I convert it into diagram, it becomes curve. This is the only difference between demand schedule and demand curve. Information is the same. So now what is demand curve, individual demand curve? Individual demand curve for a good here, the good what we are talking about is apple. The individual demand curve for a good is a curve that shows different quantities. So there we wrote tabular representation. Here we are writing it is a curve that shows different quantities of goods. Different quantities of goods which an individual consumer is willing to buy. So there the word we used was purchasing. And here the word we are using, what we are using is willing to buy. It means the same. Instead of willing to buy, you can write purchasing also. There is nothing wrong. The essence is the same. Which an individual consumer is willing to buy at different prices. At different prices. These are different prices during a given period of time. And here the given period of time is week. That is called demand curve. Now we will convert this table, the above table, into graph. So here is the information 100, 90, 80, 70, 1, 2, 4, 6. Now how do we convert? First we will draw. I have left it blank for you only so that you can understand. Now you can see here. I will first draw x-axis and y-axis. So always in economics, when we draw graph in mathematics or in statistics, this horizontal one is your x-axis and this vertical line is your y-axis. Okay, this vertical line is your y-axis. So this is x-axis and this is y-axis. Don't write this as y and this is x, it will become wrong. Your graph will become wrong. Even in the inside part what you have done. And this point is called O, origin. This is called the origin. Now, here we always write the dependent variable. Last class I explained you what is dependent and what is independent. Remember, price is all, no, sorry, by mistake I wrote dependent. It's here you will always write independent variable. Price is independent. It keeps on changing. And the quantity demanded gets affected. So it is dependent. So here you will write a dependent variable. Dependent variable you will write here. Whenever in statistics and economics, you're just beginning your career in economics, the subject. So whether you're studying standard 11th, 12th or graduation or MBA, always dependent variable will be written here and independent variable will be written here. So whenever you are having a confusion what to write in which axis, remember, independent I. When we write I write I like this. So this I represents the y-axis. This I am explaining it so that you can remember. How you will remember? I. This word I. I represents your y-axis. Small things, but very important in examination. You might get confused. If you write price in the x-axis and quantity in the y-axis, gone. Whole 6 marks will be gone. Even though if you have explained everything properly. That's why I'm giving you all such inputs now itself, that you don't make this mistake. Now let's put it on the graph. So now what is on my x-axis? My quantity demanded is on x-axis and my price is on y-axis. Okay. So now see. I think I have made a 1 second. I have also made a mistake. So this was my quantity demanded. In kg per week, and this was my price. Price of apples in rupees. See how I was doing a grave mistake. So price was this. Okay, this is all in rupees. And price is written in the y-axis and quantity is written in the x-axis. Okay. Now you see here how I will write the numbers here. I have 1, 2, 4, 6. So my highest number is 6. So I can simply write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Accordingly, I will put the scale here. You cannot start directly here with 4. If you directly start with 4, then your next number should be 8. The gap should be equal on the graph. If you directly start with 10, then the next number should be 20. So I've started with 1. So from 0 to 1, there is number 1. So my next number will be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So after 1, I cannot write 4. Okay. Then See, my maximum number is 100 here. So I can fit here till 100. So I can begin with, I can write here as 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So it's not like if I have written here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, my gap is 1. So I cannot write here as 20, 40, 60, 80. I can write, but the gap should be equal. Now, see how I am plotting in the graph. All of you, please pay attention. Don't do it in your notebooks. Listen to what I'm saying because this part is very important. So I have plotted the price here and I have plotted the quantity of apples here. Rohan, please switch on your camera. Yes. So now for C, for first one, for when my price is 100 rupees. When my price is 100 rupees, okay, this is 100. When my price, how I'm putting it on graph, now just notice that. When my price is 100 rupees, then I am demanding how much apple? 1 kg of apple. So 100 rupees is here and 1 is here. So my point will be somewhere here. See how I'm converting the table into graph. Okay, 1 second. If I see here, and I keep going with them, this point will come here. Okay, because 1, if you see here, if I join the dot from here to here, it will be 1. Or I just join the dot and then show. So this is 1. For 100 kg, I'm buying 1 kg of apple. Now for the next one, for 90 rupees, I'm buying 2 kgs. So where is my 90? Somewhere between 100 and 80. So there's a 10 ka difference. For that, I'm buying 2 kgs of apple. So my 2 is here, my 90 is somewhere here. So this is the second point. Okay, this is the second point. Then for 80 k for 80 rupees, I'm buying 4 kgs of apple. So where is 80? 80 is here and 4 is here. So because it's coming to 4, 4 is coming to here. And the next one is for 70 rupees, mine is 6. So 70 is somewhere here. Here somewhere 70. Like that. It is 6. No? So now see, I've got the dots. Actually, it is not a perfect scale. If I draw it on a graph, it will come as a perfectly downward sloping smooth curve. So this is not a graph here. That is why it is not looking like how it would be looking in your books as a perfect. If I plot on the graph, it will look perfectly like this curve. But this is not a graph. So I just tried to explain this. If I just join the dots, it is actually coming like this. Now, when I join all the dots, this what I am deriving here is called demand curve. So DT is the demand curve. If I draw on the graph paper, it will look like this, a perfect downward sloping demand curve. Is this clear on how to draw a graph?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is how you will write it, write the thing, and with pencils you can make the dots and get the dots to get the dots correct and join. And now we will explain it again, like how you, when you draw when you put the schedule, then you give an explanation for the demand schedule. Similarly, for market demand curve, once you put it on the, but once you have made the graph, you have made the diagram, then you will explain it. Now I will explain each and everything of what I have done in the graph here, like how you do all the science experiments. Now you will explain everything. So now I'll explain my graph. Look at this. First point. The price of the apples are plotted on x-axis. So this was my x-axis here. Sorry. The price of the apples are not on the x-axis, it's on the y-axis. The price of the apples are plotted on the y-axis and the quantity demanded of the apples are plotted on x-axis. And the quantity demanded of apples are plotted on x-axis. points A, B, C, D. Okay, now these are my points A, B, C, and D. The points A, B, C, and D shows the different prices, shows different prices, quantity combinations given in the above table. So point A is one combination. Point B is one combination. Point C is one combination. Point D is one combination. Combination of what? Price and quantity demanded. So at 100 rupees price, I am demanding, the person A is demanding 1 kg of apple. So this is first combination. At 90 rupees price, the person is demanding 2 kgs of apple. This is the second combination. Similarly, third combination and the fourth combination. The point A, B, C, D shows different prices and quantities demanded given in the above table. Demand curve PD, okay, is obtained by joining the above points A, B, C, and D. So when I join A, B, C, and D, when I join this point A, B, C, and D, I get my demand curve, which is called as TD. And the demand curve slopes downwards. You can see here that it is sloping downward. It is sloping towards down. The curve is sloping downwards from left to right. Now, if you see that this is left and this is right, use your hands and understand. Your left hand is this side and your right hand is this side. The left is this side and right is this side. So this is the left side and this is the right side. So it is sloping from left to right. So this is the, if I divide it into half, this curve into half. So this is the left part and this is the right part. So the demand curve slopes downwards from left to right. Did you understand? So this is the explanation of the demand schedule. How I converted the demand schedule to demand curve, and then this demand curve explanation I have given here. So sometimes your question can be explain the law of demand through demand schedule and demand curve. This can be a 6 marks question. So in that case, just state the law of demand. Don't write the assumption here, because then you have been asked to make the demand schedule and curve. If you have to ask, if they have asked only demand, law of demand, then you will write the assumption. If they have asked you to explain the law of demand, just straight away go explain what is the definition of law of demand. Just mention the word ceteris paribus, that all the other things remain. Don't explain the assumptions and directly go to the explanation of schedule and curve. I hope this was clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Now coming to market demand schedule. Okay, what is market demand schedule? Again, market demand schedule is a tabular statement that shows various quantities of a commodity. Again, a tabular statement because it is scheduled. Remember, schedule is always a table. It's a tabular statement that shows various quantities of a commodity that all the buyers, it's right, all the buyers are the consumers, right? All the buyers are willing to purchase or buy at different prices during a given period of time. Now remember, this time is very important because in the very first class of demand, I explained that demand, the main difference between want and demand is always expressed with relation to price and time. So you cannot ignore the word price and time, period of time. This has to be there. Now, how can you obtain a schedule? How will a market demand schedule come? Market demand schedule can be obtained by adding up all the individual demand schedules. A, B, C, D, E, F. How many ever individuals are there in the market? When you combine the demand of everyone, then you will get market demand schedule. But in examination, you cannot make so many demand schedules. So you will make only 2 demand schedules. Sorry, 2 individual demand schedules, A and B. Okay. Now, again, thus it shows the aggregate demand. What is aggregate demand? Aggregate demand means total demand. It shows the aggregate demand of all the consumers A, B, C, D, E, F till infinity. So all the consumers at different prices of a particular commodity during a given period of time. So here I can show you an example. So this is a market demand. So this is a table. It's a tabular statement. So here, individual demand schedule of A and individual demand schedule of B. So IDS is the short form of individual demand schedule. The same example of A you are familiar with, 100, 90, 80, 70. at this 1 kg, 2 kg, 4 kg, and 6 kg. Now, since we are talking about market, let's introduce Mr. B also. At the same price, B is demanding 2 kgs of apple at 100, 3 kgs of apple at 90, 5 kgs of apple is 80, and at 70 is 107. Now, you may ask me, ma'am, why B is demanding more than A? Because in market, we can have different kind of people. So, it depends upon their requirement. So, now my concern here is what is my total market demand? Total or aggregate market demand. Okay, because I have mentioned the word here, it shows the aggregate demand of all the consumers. So here my consumers are A plus B. Okay, so now the total market demand of A plus B is, now this is my actual data which I am looking for. This is my actual data. This is market demand schedule. So at 100 rupees, the total market demand is 3 kgs, 3 kgs of A plus B. Individually, A was demanding 1 kg and B was demanding 2 kg. So this is individual. But total market, how much is they are demanding? At this price, the total market is demanding 3 kgs of apple. Similarly, at 90 rupees, when the price falls by 10 rupees, the market's demand is increasing by 2 kgs. So from 3, it is becoming 5. So you can see here the inverse relationship. This is falling and this is increasing. You can see the inverse relationship. One is falling and one is increasing. And that is how this is the basic principle of demand and price. So at 70, the total market demand is 13 kgs. Now we will come to the next part. What is market demand curve? Thus, a market demand curve is a graphical presentation. What is this? It is a graphical presentation. The market demand schedule was a tabular representation. Individual demand curve and market demand curve is a graphical presentation of a market demand schedule. Now, what does this curve represent? Now you will talk about the curve. It is a curve that represents different quantities of goods which all the consumers, here the catch is the word all the consumers. There the word was only one consumer, here all the consumers in the market. So I think I repeated 2 times. All the consumers in the market. All the consumers in the market are willing to buy. Here by mistake I repeated this. All the consumers in the market are willing to buy at different prices. So we are having different prices. So they are willing to buy at different prices during a specified period of time, because week here is by time, during a specified period of time, when all the other factors affecting demand remain the same. Why we are telling that all the other factors demand remains the same? Because it comes from the law of demand. Ceteris paribus, all the other factors remains the same. So what is market demand curve? Market demand curve is a horizontal summation. What is horizontal summation? This is horizontal. This is horizontal. So when we do 1 plus 2, this is horizontal. We are adding 1 plus 2 and getting 3. 2 plus 3, 5. So this is horizontal. This is horizontal summation. And this is vertical. It's a horizontal summation of all the demand curves of the household. All the demand curves of the various households. Here in the question, we have A plus B. A is one household and B is one household. Now you can see here. Here I have made individual demand curve of A and individual demand curve of B. So I have got demand curve of A and I have got demand curve of B. Now I'm going to make market demand curve. So based on my data here, what I'm going to write on the x-axis, tell me, help me what I'm going to write here and in x-axis and what I'm going to write on the y-axis. Now please switch on your mics and tell me.
I mean, x-axis you will write
Quantity demanded.
This is my x, yes.
You write the quantity
demanded, and you have to write the unit also, because here we're talking about apples. So quantity demanded in brackets, you're going to write kgs per week, because reference of time also we need to write. Okay, quantity is demanded kgs per week. And what I'm going to write on my y-axis?
The price of the commodity.
Price.
Price of apples. And this also I'm going to write the unit value in rupees.
Rupees.
Okay. Now in the examination, when you have to draw the market demand curve, you need not draw A plus B. But if only market demand curve is a 6 marks question, then draw A and B. Then I'm going to make my market demand curve from this particular information. From the total market demand, this particular part I will take 3 plus 5 plus 9 plus 13 on my quantity demanded side. This part I will take, and I'm going to take the price. This part I will take and make the schedule. Okay, so 3, 5, 9, 13. So highest number is 13. So on my x-axis, the maximum number I'm going to have there is 13. See, I have plotted here up till 13. In fact, instead of writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, because 13 becomes too much, I could have also written as, instead of writing this, I could have written 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Okay. So that it is on you how you want to show your graph. And depending upon the 3, 5, I think something got erased. Information. What was this figure here? 4 plus, I think it was 9. 4 plus 5. 4 plus 9, 5, yeah, 4 plus 5 is 4 plus 5 is equals to 9. Okay. So now I'm going to write here as let me make the curve. I purposely did not complete the curve because I wanted to show you draw and show you how it is drawn. Now we will take 3, 5, 9, 13 and 70. So we will start from the first point. We will start from here, first plot. We will start from plotting from here. It's not some randomly how we start. We will start from the first one. At 100 rupees, 3 is the quantity demanded. At 100 rupees. So we'll go to 100. So we'll start from here. At 100 rupees, 3 is the quantity demanded. So just use your scale and dots and pencils. This is the first point here. So this is my first combination. Then the second combination is at 90 rupees, 5 kgs are demanded. So now I will find out the next point 90 and I will locate 5. So somewhere 5 comes here. 90 and 5. Okay. When you will be drawing it, use your scales and pencils to make the dots. Then the next information is at 80 rupees per kg, we are demanding, the market is demanding 9 kgs. So we'll go to 80. We'll go to 80. At 80, we need 9. This is 80 and the last one is 70. At 70, 13 is the quantity demanded, 13 kgs. So 70 is here and 13 is here. Now when I join the dot, so this is my combination A, B, C, and D. So when I join these dots, I'll get a downward sloping demand curve from left to right, and I can call it as DB. And this is my market demand curve. So you understood how I have derived it. And then I will write this kind of explanation, what I have written for your individual demand curve. So here I will be writing the first point. X axis represents, what does X axis represents? Quantity demanded, quantity demanded of apples by all consumers or all buyers. Then second, Y axis represents different prices of apples. Different prices of apples at which the buyers are willing to buy. Then third point I will write. So you can see here, you can look at the graph and just get. So first I'm writing on the x-axis, then I'm writing on the y-axis. Then I'm going to write what are A, B, C, D, E. Now I'll write. I'm not looking at the above point. The third point, the points A, B, C, and D represents various combinations at which all the buyers various combinations of apples which all the buyers are willing to buy at different prices. And the last point, DD represents the market demand curve. DD represents the market demand curve, which I can further elaborate, which shows the inverse, or indirect relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. Thus, the demand curve is a downward sloping curve from left to right. This is what is the law of demand. Now, can I say with the demand schedule and the demand curve, both individual and market, I have proved the law of demand. Let's go back and read what was law of demand. Let's go back and read what was law of demand. Coming here, again, the law of demand states that other things remaining equal in the graph or in the schedule, we did not talk about any other things. So other things are remaining equal. The law of demand states that other things remaining equal, this is ceteris paribus. Other things remaining equal, the quantity demanded of a commodity increases. The quantity demanded of a commodity increases when its price falls and decreases when its price rises. So it's both the case, vice versa. Thus, law of demand the law of demand indicates an inverse relationship between the price and the quantity demanded of a commodity. Other things remaining the equal. Can I just say that I have proved the law of demand through demand schedule and demand curve. Because as the price was falling, my quantity demand was increasing, which shows the inverse relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. And here you are just seeing through the numbers, but here in the curve also it is very clearly visible that as my price is rising, my quantity demanded is falling. As the, sorry, by mistake. As the demand is, as the prices are falling, because we started with 100. The first point is 100. As the prices are, sorry, by mistake. Other way around also it's correct, but in the example, we have given the falling prices. So as the prices are falling from 100 to 80, from 80 to 70, from 70 to 100 to 90, 90 to 80, and 80 to 70. So as my prices are falling, my quantity demanded is increasing. That is why my curve is going this type. So with this, I have explained the law of demand through the demand curve and demand schedule. Now tell me one thing,